Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. The Lindsey Graham rabbit hole is wow. It's so deep. I'm finding so much stuff. It's like crazy. I knew the guy was corrupt, but I didn't know just how corrupt he was, how much of a deep state player he was. So we need the pattern recognition going forward. This is going to be key, I believe, so that we can call this out early enough on. Was it the heart attack machine? Not the one where you see back in the old like 1975, where they had a congressional hearing and they shot a dart in someone and it released a toxin and caused heart attack. No, we're talking a lot more high tech than that, guys. Same thing that was used on me. It was basically it knows your, well, it doesn't know. Maybe it does. Maybe they even have your DNA because they had my DNA. But they basically, it's a frequency device where they can come in and hit your organs. So the heart is one of the ones that's, I guess, for them, it's very easily manipulated. They've been doing this for a long time, now that I'm doing the research. All right, so and I just did a show with Dr. Mary Crowley, and she did she channels God, and she channeled God after we did our show together, and she said that the reason why the heart attack machine did not work on me is because I have God's love in my heart. Wow, that really hit home. So that was pretty cool. So, going forward, we're going to find out a lot more. We're at war. I'm, I guess she said that a lot of God's angels, you have Archangel Michael around you. Not all the time, she said, but you're going to have a lot of angels helping you out going forward because you're going to be at the forefront of this storm that's starting to, come forward. And going against the deep state is going to be very challenging, for all of us. Of course, they've been coming after a lot of us, over the years. Did David Nino Rodriguez, get hit by the heart attack machine? Kind of seems like it. He's not going to admit it. He's a very analytical guy. He thinks that he did some kind of not medication, but a supplement before he went to bed, and it was not recommended to do that at night. I guess he didn't know that, and that's why he thinks that he had the heart problem. So it is interesting times as we go forward. So we all of us are at war right now with this deep state. They have had incredible complete control for the most part for a very long time. And now they don't have that. And they're being very open about how they're attacking us now because they have no choice. They're trying to regain the upper hand again, and it's slipping away from their grasp day by day, more and more as we go forward. Now, Lindsey was at the Skyfall plant. So here he is holding a drone. Now there is a massive drone war going back and forth against Russia and Ukraine, going back and forth. Russia is winning that war, although you won't know that in the media because the media, of course, is corrupted by the deep state, and they're trying to gain the upper hand against Russia. And it's not working out. Russia is very methodically chewing up the battlefield, and they're just like in a lot of places, they're just one city away from like rolling across a battlescape. Like I predicted well over a year ago that this year would be the year that they would roll across the battlefield on a very fast pace. So it looks like we might be close to that, but we'll see. Things can change. And this is one of those times where, things can change. So here he is at the Skyfall drone factory. Skyfall. Where have I heard that before? 007. 007 movie. 007 movie. All right, so he toured a top secret Ukrainian facility days before his death. Days before his death. All right. So, and he died on 7/11. Oh, thank heaven for 7/11. So it's not so much for him though. And he died. He was 71. 7/11. I don't know if that's a bad number, but probably is, knowing the deep state. It's probably one of their numbers that they, and we'll talk about that. Zach Hubbard did a really good breakdown on the numbers. So we're going to look at a little piece of that. And here we have the man that like to go to Russia. He'd been to Russia a lot of times, and we know that in Russia they do child trafficking. Yes. Lindsey, I believe, was partaking when he was there, and this is something I've seen of some of these elites when I was doing security work all around the world for the CIA, and of course I would interact with the top people. And I would see some of this stuff. All right. I wouldn't see it, but I knew that it was going on. It wasn't like out in the open, but I'm very observant, and I knew this was going on. This was Lindsey Graham 2 days ago in Kyiv after meeting with Zelensky. So Zelensky shook his hand. You might remember there was the NATO summit or whatever, and Zelensky was there, and he tried to shake Trump's hand. Trump wasn't having any of it, because every time Zelensky shakes somebody's hands, they either lose, like Kamala, he shook her hand, she lost, or they die, like Lindsey. So something's going on, the handshake of death with Zelensky. So Trump's not having any of it. He wants to live a long life. But according to him, according to Trump, they may take him out. So he's warning us that things might be getting a little crazy. Now, Skyfall, which was, like I said, a James Bond movie. Ian Fleming. So I read all of the Ian Fleming books when I was a teenager. So I was like, I'm going to be like James Bond when I grow up. And of course, I kind of was, but on a different level, probably on a much higher level than him. Of course, I wasn't having sex with everybody, and there was no sex overseas for me. I wasn't drinking overseas, because there's no drinking overseas. I was not killing everybody. I was taking them out with the love vibration. So it's very interesting. Ismail said Russia, Putin took him out. I don't agree with that. I like Ismail. Everybody has their opinion on this, so maybe he's right. I don't agree, but that doesn't mean that Ismail's wrong. Like I said, a lot of people are going to look at this and have differing opinions and thoughts and so forth. Why would Russia take him out? Because that would bring potentially a lot of heat on Russia, right? They're trying to maintain a fairly low profile and just devastate the NATO Nazi war machine. Slowly, methodically, they're grinding it up. I think they're doing an exceptional job. Russia is like the United States. Well, for I think most of the United States, because they're obviously Luciferian Satanists in the United States. Russia is not. Russia is a Christian nation, very much like the United States. Ukraine is not at all. Ukraine is openly demonic, right? So they're also what Nazi? They have Nazi. They have the all the way back to World War II. The Banderas all the way back to World War II. Now the Banderas Nazis were in Poland, and they did the death camps. Yes, in Poland. They weren't in anywhere else. They weren't in Germany. They were in Poland because of the Banderas group. Now, the Banderas group is pretty much running Ukraine right now. So Nazis are running Ukraine. No, they're not good guys. And you still believe that Ukraine's good, at this point, you should be convinced that not so much. Then you need to do a little bit more homework. Of course, there's still people that are compromised. I remember when I was in Madeira Beach in Florida, there were a lot of people who had Ukraine flags out. Dumbasses. And I was like, they're going to find out. And sure enough, those flags started to come down. Right. And eventually all of them were gone. And I think there was like 4 or 5 of them I saw around my neighborhood. I was like, liberal idiots. Like, Jesus. Oh, my God. So they eventually came down. But I think there's probably still people that support it. Of course, NATO supports it. There's people in the CIA that support it. And, you know, this war is going to continue because we have those people that are supporting this, and Russia's just going to grind them up. Send them to the Russian front. Right? Send them to the Russian front. That's what that was a bad thing. That was a bad call. If you were German, you got out of line. You're like somebody, you know, that I guess the top guys in Germany, you're like, you know, piss somebody off, they send you to the Russian front and you die there. Right. That's what's happening now. All right. Everybody at the Russian front is dying. Right. Russia is grinding them up. And I think it's a good thing. So Ian Fleming wrote all those James Bond books, and great series. I really enjoyed them as a young, not even a young man yet. I was a teenager, up and coming young man. But Ian Fleming was a British writer and a naval intelligence officer during World War II, involved in planning operations for MI6, James Bond. He died on August 12, 1964, from complications related to heart disease. Wow, what a coincidence. See how the deep state likes to play these games, right? My thoughts are they killed Ian Fleming. He must have gotten out of line. He wasn't, putting out the books the way they wanted him to put out. They wanted to steal his information, maybe, because that's what they do. You know, the 27 Club with the, musicians, they get them successful, and then they kill them and take their music royalties and wealth. And that's what they do with a lot of stuff. So perhaps they did that with Ian Fleming. I don't know. That's when he died, I was like, they killed him. They killed him. Heart attack. Yeah, that's bullshit. And so, yeah, heart attack. How about that? Heart disease. Just like Lindsey Graham. Wow. The way these things, sometimes rhyme. So let's look at, an expert. This is Stan. Let me make sure I get his Stas. So Stas Krapivnik. And he was born in Donbass, and he eventually, and I think he was an officer in the U.S. military. Did his time and then went back. He was back in Donbass, but of course Donbass is at war, so he's in and out of Russia all around, reporting on what's going on in the war. So he does a really good job of that. So let's listen to what Stas says about Lindsey Graham.
Ed and his family, of course, they put out the information that it was a short and sudden illness that took him out.
Yeah, heart attack. That's pretty short and sudden.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's already people out there who have this idea that it might have been the Russians. Who else could it have been? Stas.
No offense, but it was either little girls or little boys he was diddling, and probably a lot of coke from Zelensky's stash. He just got back from Ukraine. I mean, this is a guy who last winter, or maybe it was last fall, went to Ukraine for 3 days, stayed at the Radisson at the penthouse. I mean, I'm sure it's not the cheapest hotel room in Ukraine, and then put an expense report for 3 days. 3. 1, 2, 3. No, where's my other phone? Yeah, that one. $800,000.
Jeez.
How much are the escorts? How much is the coke? I mean, my God, $800,000. You're spending $260,000 a day. What are you doing? You know, supposedly for meetings. Like, whom are you meeting? What are you meeting? That's incredible. And he put that as an fine if that was out of his own pocket, at least. I mean, he's a multimillionaire, right? After all the war lobbies he's sponsored. But no, this was he put as an expense report for the public to compensate him on.
And Graham is such a fantastic example of everything that's going wrong with this kind of best democracy in the world, right? Of how the bribes then buy you the votes, and those get you the influence, and you get some contracts for the weapons lobby, which then flies you to Ukraine, which buys you the coke and whatnot. I mean, it's there's no transparency when it comes to these people, is there?
Oh yeah. Well, let's not forget, Ukraine is also the epicenter of weapon smuggling, drug smuggling, and children smuggling.
Boom. Boom. Been saying this for a while, guys. So you're hearing it from somebody that is in Russia and used to be Ukrainian. So this is, and was a officer, military officer in the United States. So he has a really good, he has a broad aspect and insight into a lot of this. So a lot of us have talked about how Ukraine is the trafficking, or is probably still is, the trafficking hub of Europe, right? Massive amounts of money. Now, what else happens with human trafficking? Organ harvesting. Listen.
Organs, pedophiles, and just whatever else. I mean, Ukraine is the pit of evil at this point. Everything that's the worst of humanity. I mean, look, Ukraine legalized organ harvesting and selling organs across the. Now, just so the people who don't quite understand this, because a lot of people don't, you do not. I repeat, you do not get organs from a dead body. The moment the heart stops beating, necrosis sets in because the blood stops flowing, the oxygen stops going to the cells of the organs start to die. You get organs from living bodies, whether or not the person's in a comatose state, vegetative state, or still has a head attached to him. You know, the body has to be alive. It has to be on a ventilator at least. You know, blood has to be flowing. Otherwise, the organs die. The lungs have to be breathing. They made $4 billion in taxes. And believe you me, some of the videos I've seen, some of these carnal houses that were overrun by Russian forces before the evidence could be destroyed, you don't want to see them. You know, I'm mentally deranged, anyways, like every military person is to some degree. For the average person who isn't, I mean, this is worse than any horror movie Hollywood comes out of. Just believe me. And these black organ doctors, they should just be wiped out. No trial, because you're never going to get them to a trial. But the thing,
yes, and it should just be wiped out. I totally agree. We should also do the same with the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party brought over 400 children across the border. 425. They found 125,000 of those. So 300,000 are still missing. Some of those that they have recovered, think how many are still out there and what they're going through, if they're even still alive. So organ harvesting probably happened with a lot of them. And they were used as, for rape, for people to come in and rape them. And I just saw a testimony on Capitol Hill where they were talking about that. So during the Biden administration, the Democrat Party allowed all these children to come in, and many of those children were put into these hotel rooms and underground facilities and so forth, and men would rape them over and over again, 7 to 20 times a day, right? And there should be no, and they didn't get time off. They didn't work for like 5 days and get the weekend off. Every day, right? And not from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, all day long. into the night, right? Think about that, guys. And then when they got done with them, they organ harvested them, right? So this is what the Democrat Party stands for. Democrat Party sent hundreds and I think they sent $1 trillion worth of money and military supplies, at least $1 trillion to Ukraine during the Biden administration, right? So Tara, it's hard to fathom. It really is. The depravity and the psychopath, type of mindset that allows this to happen. There should be, I guess we're still going to have trials for these people, but it should be short and sweet, and then they should be executed. So Democrat Party should be executed, in my opinion, all of them. They did not give any, compensation for these children. No sympathy, nothing. There should be none for them. Should be none for them, right? Even less. And Gitmo is way too nice for them, right? Unless it's a one-way trip and it happens quick, right? Maybe we don't want to execute them here in the United States. I don't care where they get executed, but it should be quick, right? All right. Pure evil, guys. All right, let's move on with this craziness with Lindsey Graham so we can, recognize these criminals. Even though he was Republican, I'm not taking sides. I don't care who you are. If you've done evil, you should go. You should die, right? That's what we're going to see, I think, pretty soon. If it doesn't happen legally, I think citizens vigilante groups will start to rise up. How Ukraine's secret drone factory builds vampires and shrikes for the front line. So you see the terminology these evil people have for their drones, their equipment, some of their Nazi fighting groups. They're evil. They have names like this for all of them, vampires, and we know what vampire, they're bloodsuckers, right? Right. So now, I think it was about a year ago is when Putin said we're going to take out all the vampires. So they're going to take down all of the Nazis in Ukraine. They're not going to stop. And I don't know, maybe they're going to have to go into Poland to finish the deal because there's a lot of them over there. They have every right to do that. All right. So, and Poland has been, as far as equipment and personnel, people that, from all over the world that want to fight and get paid, right? And for Ukraine, they come through Poland, right? All that equipment is coming through Poland. So not all of it, but a very great amount of it. So Skyfall, 2012 spy film, 23rd in the James Bond series, the third for Daniel Craig, fictional MI6 agent, James Bond. So I'm trying to figure out why they want to use the name Skyfall. So it doesn't matter because after Lindsey went there. So I think that if Russia was going to take Lindsey Graham out, they would have blown him up right when he went into that factory, guys. So, why wouldn't they? So they want to keep it secret that they're going to take him out. They could get discovered, right? People could claim that Russia did it. The deep state could claim Russia did it. Maybe that's part of the disinformation that's flying around out there. Some people are coming to that conclusion. I don't see it. Because Russia, when this war is over, is going to be on the high end, right? They'll be upstanding because they're not going to stoop down and do the bullshit that's happening from NATO in NATO countries like the United States. Right. So now President Trump said, yeah, we're going to give you all this stuff, and you're going to get the rights to this missile system or that missile system. And you know how long that's going to take? It's going to take a long time. They're going to have to, and she said, you're going to have to build it. And he said, you're going to have to build it there in Ukraine. Russia is watching everything, right? They watched Lindsey Graham go into that factory, and they're like, oh, that's where that factory is. We're going to blow the shit out of that thing when he's out of there. And so that's what they see everything. So imagine them starting to build, a missile factory, and Russia's watching. It's like, okay, let them bring in the technicians. Okay. Let them bring in the equipment to build the missile systems. Okay. Let them get close to finishing. Okay, blow the hell out of the place with all those people in it, right? So that's what we're going to see if it even comes to that. But that'll take a year or two. Ukraine is so close to being done. It's so close to being done. It's not going to last that long. And like I said, if they do get that stuff in there, the Patriot missile system, it's going to get blown up, right? Just like that Skyfall drone factory, right? So Russia is basically hammering Ukraine. They're killing 80 to 100 drone operators a day, right? A day. And they're not being replaced, right? There's not a lot of, people in Ukraine anymore that can fight. They're force placing these people in. They're losing up to anywhere from 20 to 35,000 people a month, right? On the front, being killed, or I think killed. And then who knows how many people, usually double that amount, are being wounded. And as Stav just said, they're going back to the hospitals, and they're like, oh, you lost your leg? Well, come into this special room. And then the organs go bye-bye. And so that's what's happening. They're not treating their people very well. Even the Russians, when they, overrun a point, and there's all these Ukrainian dead, this last city that they overran, Constantinople, I think it was, they had 14,700, something like that, nearly 15,000 Ukrainian dead. And they wanted to have a day that the Ukrainians could take their dead, and the Ukrainians didn't want to do it. They wanted to keep fighting. And that happens all the time. Russia is trying to give the dead back, and they don't want them. Why? Because then once the relatives get that body, then the Ukrainians have to pay, for, I don't know however long, every month, some kind of if I was killed when I was in the military, my parents or my relatives or somebody, my wife, my kids or whatever, would have gotten compensated. And Ukrainians don't want to do that with their dead. So they're not taking the dead. They're making Russia keep the dead for a long time. And this is one of the things. I mean, we've sent NATO countries have sent hundreds and trillions of dollars to Ukraine, yet they don't compensate and take care of the people when they die on the front. It's crazy. So this is the kind of madness that's going on with Ukraine that very few people are reporting on. Now, let's look at the evidence that there's lots of drone facilities now are being destroyed. Now, Ukraine went in and killed, I think it was 18 girls and 3 boys at a school. They were anywhere from I think 17 to 20 in their early 20s, and they used like 16 drones. It wasn't like a stray drone just like went into this. I reported on this already, but it wasn't like a stray drone, you know, went in and, you know, blew up in this girls' school and all these girls died, you know. No, they targeted this drone all day long. They saw drone activity, looking at it. They were calling, you know, they were saying that, yep, go downstairs in the basement and, you know, wait. And then the drones would like go away, and then they go back to their rooms because it was late at night. And then the drones started to hit, right? And they destroyed a huge area and this building, several buildings, and killed 18 of these girls and 3 boys. All right, 3 young men and 18 young women. Right. So they claimed that it was they were hitting after they couldn't claim that it was a stray missile or a stray drone or whatever, that Russians, like, you know, well, you had like 16 of them hit this. And so they're like, oh, well, they were hitting military targets, right? You guys are using girls to front your military industrial complex. And that's not true. Russia doesn't play that game, but Ukraine does, right? So now Russia is like, the gloves are off. They're not killing kids like Ukraine, but they're hitting areas where they have these huge truck lots where they take the missiles and they put them on these trucks and they run up to the front. They fire them from the trucks and then they run back. They go underground, load them up again, or they go into like parking garages and, you know, multi-level parking garages. They're hiding them. But they had this one that was right by a children's education center. And the Ukrainians do this a lot. They put their factories and so forth around those areas. It's kind of like the Muslims. They would come and hammer us, and then they go run into the mosques, right? After they you know, shot mortars at us and RPGs and machine gunned us and so forth. We've eventually got to a point where that was okay. If they strike you, they run into the mosque. They had to go all the way to the top, and then you can strike them. If you know that they've gone into a mosque after they've hit you, then you can blow that mosque up. And so that was happening in Fallujah, and that's how we basically had to destroy all of Fallujah, all the way down almost every building. It's a huge city. And it's the same thing that's happening in Ukraine. They fight to the last brick. They go down the basements and they hide. The Russian forces will go by and they'll come out and plant a flag and say, look, we still own this area. And they'll take a drone shot or whatever. Then they'll go back down and hide again, or run to another underground facility that's been blown up. So this is the game that the Ukrainians play. You know, there's no honor. They're fierce fighters. Granted, give them that. Nazis are like that, you know, but there's no integrity whatsoever. All right, so Ukrainian drone factories damaged, visits by foreign officials. Kiev area drone production facility was reported struck by Russian missiles on the same day that Lindsey Graham visited. So the company Graham toured publicly confirmed his visit. Ukrainian authorities have not publicly identified the specific facility Graham saw as one of the sites hit, and reporting stresses a pattern of Russian attacks on defense production facilities rather than any confirmed targeting linked to visits by foreign officials. So the foreign officials, obviously, you know, they get cameras that go in and they're filming them, and the Russians are able to detect that, right? They're watching everything. So this is one of the ways that, you know, they're finding where some of these missile sites, because they're getting visited by dignitaries, right? Look, all the money you're sending us, we're building drones with them and we're blowing up, you know, the Russians, and that makes you happy, right? Yeah. So give us some more money. And that's why they do these things, these little visitations, like, Lindsey Graham. And while you're here, we know what your tastes are. So we'll have some special visitors for you over the next few days while you're here. So this is, I've seen this. I've talked about this, right? And these are very evil people, very disgusting. They need to go bye-bye. Right? They need to go bye-bye really bad. All right, so let's look at the numbers. This is Zachary Hubbard. These people play by numbers. That's part of their game. Luciferians believe that, they're like God. If you get, for me, I see 1111 all the time, or 333, or 555. So I'm seeing the angelic realm communicate with me. God communicates with me, and for them, they like to make the numbers work for them in a Luciferian system, right? So you're going to see these numbers oftentimes are these similarities. Heart attack machine, Skyfall. He went to Skyfall. Ian Fleming died with heart disease, and then we had Lindsey Graham die after he went to Skyfall of heart disease, right? I don't think that's the Russians doing that, guys, right? You start to look at the numbers, and it starts to lead back to really who's doing this. So let's watch this. Let me pull it up.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. The kill date has struck again. This time it is longtime politician Lindsey Graham, who died Saturday, July 11th, 2026, after a sudden and brief illness, one day after returning from Kyiv, Ukraine, and shaking hands with Zelensky. I want you to see everything that's suspicious about this. Again, if you're new here, the kill date, they come up once a month. I educate about this every single month. We circle all the dates at the beginning of the year. Last year, the biggest kill date headline ended up being Charlie Kirk. But again, once a month, there's a date that has paths in numerology of 64, 28, 44, and 17. And in gematria, which is essentially numerology within words, there's 4 base ciphers based on the alphabetic order, forwards and backwards, and you can see the values of kill. 64, 44, 28, 17, corresponding perfectly with the date numerology. And you can also see how Lindsey Graham has the 64 connection. You can also see how he has the 71 connection. And he's dead at age 71, 2 days after turning 71. Shout out to the gentleman in my live stream who sent a super chat to let me know this happened. If you were watching my last live stream, which was about the 25-year-old World Cup player dropping dead on the kill date, just like how something similar happened in the last World Cup.
So they have to have a sacrifice, right? So it's usually a male and a female. But a World Cup 25-year-old South African soccer player falls dead. Right. So some sacrifice. How do they do that sacrifice? Heart attack machine, or did they, slip him something, or, they have many ways to kill people. And they're usually there's no way you can trace it back to them.
We looked at this in real time, and what was funny is when we first searched, Google's AI said it was a hoax. Lindsey Graham wasn't dead. They said it's just a hoax. It's a viral hoax. It's not true. And then about 5 minutes later.
So this is the feeding the disinformation. So it's a viral hoax. Lindsey Graham is not dead. So this is one of their methods. So they have operation. One of the methods of confusing the populace, because they want to be in control. They love to confuse people, love to create fear, create anger, and unknowing angst and so forth. So Lindsey Graham dies. Oh, that's a hoax. And then you find out that he did die. And now we're like, the Russians did it. The heart attack machine did it. The FBI did it. The CIA did it. It's going to be on and on and on like that. And then eventually you're just going to get tired of it. You're just going to quit looking, right? This is part of their method operandi, right?
The Washington Post reported it, and then a number of sources reported it. So they went from saying it was a viral hoax to that it was real. And there's no official cause of death, but when people die from sudden and brief illness, a lot of times historically, that means you got arsenic in your food or your drink, a lot of it. And you can see Lindsey Graham, born July 9th, dead July 11th, so 2 days after his 71st birthday. They said he was in Ukraine on July 10th. And from the day that he became the Senate Budget Committee leader, the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, January 3rd, 2025, from that day to his visit to Ukraine was exactly 79 weeks. Ukraine equals 79, as does murder. And you might recall at the beginning of the war, our national news reported that inflation was up 7.9% in America because of the war with Ukraine. And, you know, pretty much everything buzzing that's impacting the cost of living has to do with this 79 thing. The word tariffs equals 79. We're in Iran since the 79 revolution. Just the other day was 7/9, his birthday, which was also the day they waited for Khamenei's funeral, the Iranian leader. They waited till 7/9, like the Iranian revolution was in 79 and ended on the Vatican's birthday. And don't forget the military order of the Pope, the Society of Jesus. They have a title of 79 too.
So the Jesuit Society of Jesus, 71. He died at 71. So all the different connections, and he's going to go in. And he's going to talk about the NFL season and the Super Bowl, hosted by the LA Rams. And this is very interesting. The colors very similar, or they are the colors of Ukraine.
But yeah, if you run it the small way, Ukraine equals 34, like murder, like poison. But I was thinking about the day he went there, July 10th, right? July 10th. Now that day can be written 10/7, and the 107th NFL season is about to begin, which will end with Super Bowl 61. And who's hosting Super Bowl 61? The Los Angeles Rams, who have the same colors as Ukraine. And you might recall that when the Rams won the Super Bowl, Sean McVay, the coach, went out on the field with his then fiancée, who he's now married to, the Ukrainian model. And then days later, 11 days later to be exact, the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. And then the Rams, you know, the ram is Ares, the god of war. Remember, NATO met about the war on the first day of Ares. We covered all this back then. But yeah, in light of all the headlines pointing out that Lindsey Graham has become Trump's right-hand man, remember once upon a time it wasn't that way. Lindsey Graham used to say Trump was absolutely ridiculous and a disgrace to politics. Keep in mind, Lindsey Graham was a war hawk and one of these guys who'd send your children off to war but would never fight it yourself. Anyway, now they're...
So Lindsey Graham was a JAG officer, Judge Advocate General, basically a lawyer in the military. And he did 4 years active, no combat experience. And after that, he did another 29 years. So 34 years total with the National Guard and so forth. Never once any combat action, yet he is a warmonger extraordinaire. He and his buddy, John McCain, John McCain, no name, and his wrinkly flag on his coffin. Will Lindsey get a wrinkly flag? I would say so.
Him as, you know, one of Trump's right-hand men. It's funny that from the day that he was in Ukraine to the day of the Super Bowl is a span of 220 days. And of course, Donald John Trump's 220. But yeah, that's what I always talk about. Ritualistic death, rigged news, rigged politics, rigged sports, all part of one big script. So again, you just got to ask, with all these, just all this building history and clues, I mean, do you really think this is an accident that he He was in Ukraine 61 days before the season begins. And remember, it's going to be the first time the season's ever begun on a Wednesday, which is the day of the week named after Mercury, the trickster. And Mercury's the 80th element on the periodic table. And Trump just turned 80. And September 9th will be the 88th day of Trump's age. Like Mercury has an 88-day orbital cycle. And because it's the fastest orbiting planet, it's known as the Swift planet. If you missed my recent stream on Taylor Swift and what she has to do with this upcoming season with her arranged marriage to Travis Kelce on 7/3, 73 days for the Chiefs opener when Travis Kelce equals.
Wow. That's like it. I mean, it's so much stuff. And, you know, he can just go on and tie things together like that. I was like, good God, man. How do you keep all that in your head? It's incredible. So Zach is, you know, really disclosing. Now, he also talks about the police murder by numbers. So this is, you know, Lindsey Graham murdered by numbers, right? So let's look at the police song. I know they have this song, but I've never listened to it. But I looked at the lyrics. I started to play a little bit of it, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember that song at all. But the numbers, I'm not going to play it. Not going to do it. It just jumped over there. So murder by numbers. Once that you've decided on a killing, first you make a stone of your heart. Yes. So no love there. So it goes on to say, so this is where it's very interesting, but you can reach the top of your profession if you become the leader of the land. For murder is the sport of the elected, and you don't need to lift a finger of your hand because it's murder by numbers. 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABC. All right. So interesting, you know, like that Michael Jackson song, ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. So these, you know, these threads, you know, through the music industry, through sports, through politics, through war, all of these things will coincide oftentimes. And that's how you can see, you know, how things are going to run, how things are going to go. I can look, if I want to, at who's going to win the Super Bowl because I look for the signs. And that's what Zach Hubbard does. And if you want to, you know, if you're a betting person in sports, you should be watching Zachary Hubbard, guys, right? I'm not going to put my money into something that's evil, but if you still want to, that's up to you. Zachary Hubbard will, you know, give you the insights. I've done that in the past, right? I've talked about that. I showed, you know, this team will win. This, you know, quarterback will be the MVP. And I said, and I put my money on it. I said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I showed you all the signs that I was seeing, the sacrifice that happened, where the little girl that was killed by one of the coaches in a car outside the stadium in a car. But he was driving, and a little girl was killed. So you know, these are the things you look for. Just like that 25-year-old player that was killed in FIFA for South Africa. All the stuff is rigged. All the stuff is rigged. No one trusts anything anymore. Right? You can't trust anything anymore. Everything is rigged. Everything is deep state rigged, guys. So not everything. There's a few things that aren't. My show's not rigged. All right. So now 2 days after Graham's death, there was another Graham that came into the spotlight, right? Another political Graham, right? Graham Plattner. He formerly on the 13th. Now, Lindsey died on the 11th, and 2 days later on the 13th. That's a lucky number, right? No, that's the deep state number. Look out. Graham Plattner has formally withdrawn from the main Senate race. What did he have on him? He had a Nazi tattoo. How about that? And Lindsey Graham was in Nazi land, Ukraine. And so now we have, it didn't seem to be a problem for the Democrats that this guy had a Nazi tattoo on, right? Didn't seem to be a problem, right? You know, they're very two-faced about this stuff. Maine Democrats are embarking on a 2-week sprint to pick up a new nominee for one of the year's most important races in the wake of Graham Plattner's decision to end his Senate campaign after allegations of sexual assault. And they were probably made up. So they murder by numbers, right? Murder by numbers. So he was murdered pretty much from his political career. So you just, and, you know, it coincides. His name is Graham. His political career is dead. Like Lindsey Graham's political career is dead, right? So you start to see the patterning, guys. So trying to show you the patterning, whatever, right? The patterning. It's not even a word. Stop it. All right, so we're trying to make it fit. All right, now the Lindsey Graham timeline. Now there's some other people that are out there. Larry Johnson. I respect Larry Johnson, former CIA analyst. Now analysts usually were back at headquarters, Langley. Wasn't there something that was sent from Langley to Trump's plane just recently? So it almost brought it down. Langley, yeah, CIA headquarters. The Lindsey Graham timeline does not work. He died in Kyiv. Now, Larry Johnson, like I said, you know, they're good CIA. I think Larry Johnson is good, maybe, right? I know a lot of you guys are like, you know, once work for the CIA, always CIA. I've heard that quite a bit. And, you know, maybe Larry's still working for the CIA. I don't know. But he seems to be putting out some good stuff every now and then. This one, I don't think so. All right. So he says, let's go through the timeline. Lindsey departed Dulles International Airport at around 0700 local on July 9th. The flight from Dulles to Warsaw, Poland, is 9 hours. He took the overnight train that departed Warsaw at 15 hours local on July 9th and arrived in Kyiv between 09:45, 10:45 local on July 10th. So Lindsey Graham arrives in Kyiv 11 a.m. Friday morning, meets with Zelensky, gets the handshake of death, and tours a drone factory, Skyfall, and he dies of a heart attack like Ian Fleming, who the movie Skyfall was of James Bond movie. All right. It's piecing it together nicely, right? Then we are asked to believe that he returns to Washington, D.C. after spending less than 24 hours on the ground again. And so Larry Johnson's calling bullshit. All right. So let's look at the numbers. Now, again, Larry, now analysts, I loved it when analysts would come overseas. Because that meant that we're getting close to like taking a baddie out, right? And because the analysts, instead of being all the way back in Langley and having to wait that long, time between, so it's, I don't know, 7-8 hours sometimes difference. So if we got something hot off the press from a, intel source, usually a double agent, that was working with the Taliban and then giving us information, then we needed to move on some of this stuff very quickly. And we're getting close to taking someone out, and the drone people need to get their okay to do the drone strike on the target. And so the analyst has to look at the information and go, It looks good. Send it back to, headquarters at 7th floor. And they were like, go, okay, take them out. So, and then it would boom, boom, boom. And then another, it was like, I did another check mark. Another terrorist that I was sending love to is gone. So, all right. So now, so he's talking about, he's got to go back. He's got to do the train back to the, where he takes a flight. You give it an hour or so. So he's saying the early morning train back, 0740, 0800 on the 11th, arrives at this one station at the afternoon, 1800. Says this is at least 9 hours. That would make it roughly 1,100 hours in Washington, D.C. Okay, I'm following you. I'm following me, Larry. That's good. Let's assume he has an hour to get to the airport. So he takes off 1,200, and it's 1,900 local in Poland, right? So he says the flight is 10 hours, so it doesn't make sense because I would put him back there at 2,200 hours. Oh, Larry, I guess you didn't travel that much overseas, but I know that you have because I know you go to Russia occasionally. But there's a 6-hour difference. He's going to go back in time. He's going to go back in time 6 hours. So that actually puts him back there at what? 1,600, somewhere around there. So, and then he calls Trump after he gets back at around 7. So it actually works, right? So again, I don't know, Larry just got confused there or something on the times, and you're putting out this information that people are going to like latch onto and get confused, and because they're like, well, he must have died in Kyiv. He was blown up in Kyiv or something at the factory, or he went to the hotel where all the NATO guys stay, and that hotel got blown up. And so you see how this stuff can get confusing for people because they're in. Again, I say stay observant. Don't latch on. Don't follow every. If you're a lion, because you're a lion of God, and you're watching all the antelope go by, you don't need to chase each one of them because you're not going to catch them all. Just wait for one to go by. It's like that one, and then boom, and then you're going to eat well, right? And you're going to get a lot of information. So that's the way this works, guys. Don't get all jiggly, butt hurt if something doesn't go right, and you're like get all frustrated and say it's all bullshit. It's not all bullshit. It's a deep state playing their games, right? And some people are confused or make comments. They don't quite, they mean well, but they, like Larry, he means well, I think. So he just made that comment that there's no way, there's bullshit. He couldn't have made it back, right? And I could be wrong. Maybe he's got more insight than I do about that. But for what I'm looking at, it happened. It worked. Now, this is something that Joshua Reed posted. Was Trump aware? Sounds like. So Trump posted about Lindsey Graham at 6:34. Q 6:34. Heart attacks can be deadly. Oh, wow. Numbers again. That's interesting, right? Interesting how that works out. So that it's all over it. It's everywhere. Now, Tommy Tuberville. I know he's good friends with Trump, President Trump, and obviously a white hat. So, because Tommy Tuberville is making statements about Graham. Senator Tommy Tuberville is sharing new details about Senator Lindsey Graham's final moments, revealing Graham called his scheduler after returning from an overseas trip and said, "Listen, I'm having chest pains. I need to do something." Tommy. When asked, did you call 9/11? Graham replied, no, that's the reason I called you. Tuberville said the scheduler immediately called 9/11, and by the time that she got there, 9/11 had knocked the door down. So they busted down the door. Wow. And they were working on him. So I guess he didn't have anybody there. He didn't have anybody there with him. Because, you know, he likes people, right? So young people. So I guess he decided he'd had enough, or I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what happened? So, but that's it. That's interesting. So it sounds like, you know, these people that are making comments about Russia involvement and so forth, or he died in Russia, they're trying to squash that. They want him to have died in his home in DC for some reason, right? Tuberville said Lindsey basically worked himself to death, noting Graham rarely took time off and was always traveling to work out something for our country. All right. Sounds like I mean, it's both sides are like, you know, sticking up for the guy, you know, like what, right? So he was definitely a Trump hater. And you know, he said that if he had a gun at when all the J6ers were supposedly rioting and trying to break into the Capitol, which was bullshit, that he would have shot him. So that's not very good. And then he said, because remember when Trump came in, before Trump came in, he was a Trump hater. And then when Trump came in, he's like, yeah, look, I like Trump. So after Trump, you know, the bullshit election steal, and Congress and the Senate weren't going to, like, you know, make it right. He said that we need to recognize these election results and not let Donald Trump, you know, try and steal this, or we need to, like, you know, invoke the 25th Amendment against him. Yeah. So, and then once you know, it was firmed, it says we need to, like, you know, fully support Joe Biden. So he's a deep state puppet boy, right? All the way. And so I don't know, maybe he was trying to work the good guy side and stay relevant or something. Who knows? He just got reelected. I was surprised, but now his sister, and I should have played that a little bit longer because wait a minute, let me see if I got it. Nope. So Zach goes deeper into the numbers, and you saw how all those numbers, 71 and 79 and blah blah blah, all those numbers, you know, they all mean that, you know, this is a death and murder by numbers and all that kind of stuff. Well, his sister changed her name, and I forget what her name is, Janine or whatever it is, but there was an E in there, and she changed it to I, so that made it one of the perfect numbers for murder by numbers. Crazy, right? And now she's going to be replacing him. Wow. So these numbers are, you know, very, very critical. And these people making these comments coming out of the woodwork is like, is that really what happened? Tuberville, really? Well, he's saying it, so I guess we're going to have to take him at his word, right? So he says, Axios also reported Graham delayed seeking medical attention before his scheduled appearance to meet the press, saying, I can't die now. I still need to do the Russia sanctions, get Iran sorted out, and do Israeli-Saudi normalization. So this deep state puppet for the industrial military complex was all over the map, you know, keeping these wars going. And that was one of his jobs, just like John McCain. All right, McConnell. McConnell. See, we just don't believe any of this bullshit, do we? McConnell, are you kidding me? So here's a picture of McConnell that was released. Let's look at this silliness. McConnell took a photo with that day's newspaper. The internet has questions. So there he is with his wife, and he's in his jeans in a hotel room. Right? Is he getting ready to walk out of there? Is that what's happening? But here he is. He's got the newspaper, and I think that was the Post or something like that. And so I guess some expert, they found some expert that would lie, or maybe he really is an expert. It says on Monday night, the Post reviewed a copy of the original photo provided by McConnell's office at the Post request and found that its metadata appears to show it was taken Sunday. An independent digital forensics expert also said there appeared to be no evidence that the image is fake, right? So there's all kind of rumors out there. So again, don't get caught up in them. My idea, my view is if McConnell shows up, it's a drone or an actor, just like Biden, right? So, I mean, you can, again, Celine Dion is also gone. And is he in a med bed? Yeah. No, that he would definitely not get one of those. Who knows? Grok says it's been doctored. All right. Clone. If it is real, it's a clone. I don't think it is. But if he does physically show up, it's either somebody in a mask or a clone, right? And you know, it takes a little while for these clones to get, you know, all the central casting. Yes, through the mic. It takes a while for these clones to like get up to speed. You know, they have to like get the DNA and get the soup and, you know, stir it and get it hot, and it starts to form, and they have to break it out of the mold, and then you start to have to educate it. And it's like, you're Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell. No, you have to say it like this, right? So, Mitch McConnell, like he would, right? You have to talk like him. So, you know, these clones are trainable to a certain extent, but we've seen a malfunction. We've seen McConnell's clone, if that was a clone or if that was really him, I don't know. but we've seen malfunctioning from McConnell. I think that might have been him falling down all the time, kind of like Joe Biden. Joe Biden always falling down and getting confused and all that stuff. And then they get that one guy that came out and would like just talk like he was in control. It was like totally a different guy. It was the actor that would come out, and he was like sharp and he would talk stuff. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Then you get the falling down one again. And it was a joke. Who falls down going upstairs like over and over and over again? Like, why didn't he fall down going downstairs? That would have been more convenient for us, because then it was like cracked his head and then, oh, he's dead. So, the clone is dead. The Biden clone is dead. Celine is an evil siren. Yes. Boy, big time. You see that clothing line that she used to have for children and babies? Wow. That was some dark shit. Yeah. And then her husband died. That was sacrifice. And so I guess she could go on and be skinny and still be, one of the top entertainers and paid and all that kind of stuff. So that's the way these work. Clones are not good on stairs. Okay, Grace. You've done the research. That's good. I guess. I mean, it makes sense to me. Why not? Michael, what about that commercial? Which commercial? Drew the mic. She sounded and looked hideous. Ooh. Wow, 2,300 viewers. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. There's actually 2,946 viewers. And when I do these shows for the last week, I can see the numbers. That's almost 3,000. So when this show is over, or other shows, when they're over, I go into the back and I look at the numbers. and they're always ridiculously low, like half the numbers, like right there, 2,944. I'm going to remember the number because I'm going to go back and I'm going to see that it's a lot lower. And so they, on my YouTube, in my back office, they said, we have had problems with your numbers, and we're going to get those up to speed. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever. I want to meet some of these people that work at YouTube someday. Some of these people that deleted me and all that stuff. I'd love to meet them. I'd love to meet them. Oh, yeah. Yes, that would be fun. Can't you tell by the chat? Yeah. Yeah, it's like 1,000 messages going through there, and I just happen to be looking at them now after however long I was doing a show, hour. So, no. So, when, yeah, if you're Jaco, let's laugh. Yes. God's got your back, Michael. That's right. So I'm not worried. It's like, it's whatever it is, you know. I'm just happy to be back on YouTube. I was like, I thought I would never be back on YouTube. I was like, you're gonna let me back on YouTube, really? So, wow. Okay. Let's see how that works out. They tried to, restrict me a couple times. They give you a warning, and I'm like, you guys are still, controlled by that deep state medical group. So, okay. So I was putting out about some products that will help you be very healthy, like haven't restricted me for LifeWave. That's kind of cool, which is one of the best products ever. But if you're not on X39, you should be. Everybody, of course, not everybody's can afford it. I was looking, and so I was a lot of seniors are like, I can't afford that, and I'm like, that's bullshit. Not that it's bullshit that you can't afford it, but it's bullshit that you're in a position after having worked your friggin' whole life that you can't afford something that minuscule, really. So I looked into this. So you guys should look. So I should have had them up. I will bring them up on another show. But I was looking at some videos today. If you're 65 and you're, paying property taxes, you should not be paying the regular property tax rate. And almost every state has this. If you're 65 or older, you pay less in property tax. And in some, you don't have to, it's frozen or whatever it is. If you've lost your spouse, you get even more benefits. If you're 65, you get more withholding from your taxes, and it's thousands of dollars more. So you guys should look into this, so you can afford LifeWave, right? So a lot of you guys are probably about to lose your homes, and you'll find out as I was listening to the show. There's this one poor woman, she and her husband passed away, and she's been paying the property taxes as if she was still under 65. And she just assumed that they came in and reduced the price for her, but they never did. You have to do the paperwork. They do this on purpose, and they're stealing from seniors on a massive scale, every state, in property taxes and taxes in general. So look into that, guys. You do the paperwork, and in some states, they'll give you a refund. Yeah, right. If you've overpaid. You're 80 years old, and from 65 to 80 years old, 15 years, you've been overpaying or whatever. I would hope at that point you've paid off your house, but some people do reverse mortgages, and they refinance their home so they can get money out of it. So, which is sad too. It's bullshit again. And then they talked about if you're paying medical, you should be paying medical. At 65, you get what is it? That one deal, the medical benefits, whatever, and you can pay like a couple $100 more a month, and get Plan B, which basically gives you all of the, you can go to any doctor, Medicare. Thank you. 65 Medicare. Thank you, AA. So Medicare, you hit 65, get that Medicare. And if you have paid taxes for 10 years, you have paid into Medicare. Look at your statements. There's a Medicare tax. You have paid for free healthcare, guys. So there's a lot of stuff out there that they keep from us, and they're stealing from us, and they don't let us know. And you have to do a little bit of due diligence. And now that I'm 65 myself, I'm like, I was like looking at that stuff. I was like, dang, like I got all these benefits. I need to get on this. But you have to fill out the paperwork. It'll be the 2 hours you spend filling out the paperwork will be the most beneficial 2 hours. You'll get paid for that, each one of those hours, like tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. So however long that would be, and it would be a lot longer if you start using the X39, right, and the Solargize, and at some point the water machine, right? So let there be light. So David Schmidt basically went into the Bible, and where it says let there be light, and that the first sentences and so forth in the Bible, Genesis, he did the mathematical, like gematria, he did the mathematical information on that, and that's how he came up with the light infused water machine. Crazy, right? So lots of interesting things out there. So the numbers are not always against us, right? Sometimes they're for us, because those are God's numbers. But if they're Lucifer's numbers, not so much. So you need to be able to distinguish which ones. All right, guys, stay in the love vibration. We're going to win this fight. And we're going to do it with love, the love frequency. I'm still here because I guess I had the love frequency in my heart, and that heart attack machine didn't work on me. Lindsey Graham didn't have any love in that heart. No, there's no love there. All right, guys, lots of love. Love you guys. Stay in love vibration. We'll see you guys next time.